Okay, good evening. Welcome to this regular scheduled business meeting of the Summersville City Council. I'd like to welcome all of our guests as we have a very lofty agenda this evening. So moving right into tonight's agenda, the first item is consideration of the council minutes of the meeting we held on March 25th of 2024.
Move to approve and waive the reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Council, are there any changes or amendments to those minutes as they were presented in your packet? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. I want to do public comment. Did anybody sign up for public comment other than the folks that are signed up on the agenda? Nope. Okay. I want to do just something. I'm gonna skip real quick to one item on my mayor's report because I think this is important. We got some extra people here tonight that may be interested. I was certainly hoping Linda and Rita were going to be here. But effective the next meeting, I plan to commission a group of citizens under the office of the mayor to review and study homelessness in our city. Unfortunately, it's become an issue. Don't know exactly what the numbers are. I tentatively went after some Nicholas County numbers today, and I'm told that it could be as high as 150 people that are homeless. So what I want to do on the interest of this governing body and the city of Summersville and our citizens, I'm going to commission a group of folks to operate under the office of the mayor, which I'm asking my executive assistant, Mary Ann, to take the charge. And I've also got Jim Epling, councilman, who Jim and I have had several conversations along the way about homelessness. So they're going to hit the pieces that I think are important on the commission from the government. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting a call out to the entire citizens community, anybody operates anything in the city of Summersville, any group or organization or individual that's interested in being a part of this commission to help us do what I would call a study and a review of the situation to see what we may be able to do as a city to bring resolve to the issue. Obviously, you know, it's not just this city that's dealing with it. As I mentioned, it's our county, it's our state, and of course, in my networking with other mayors, they've got real issues in some of the bigger cities. So, you know, it's growing. That population, unfortunately, is growing in our city. If you just get out early in the morning and take a drive through town, you'll see what I'm talking about. So what I would like to do is put a call out for individuals that may be interested, and then at the next council meeting, which would be April 22nd, I would like to appoint the additional members to the commission, and then through my executive assistant, Mary Ann Taylor, she will set up meetings and they will conduct, get the process in place to move forward and start reviewing, studying the situation and see what we may be able to do as a city to help the situation. So wanted to jump to that before folks, because obviously after you do your presentation, you're welcome to stay for the balance of the meeting, but at that time, if you want to leave, you're welcome to leave as well. So the next item on the agenda would be move directly into city council grant presentations. And the first one on the agenda is LoveWorks. Linda Lancaster, and Linda's not present. Is that correct? Okay. All right, so we'll go to the next one. It's Nicholas County High School Athletic Department. Kathy Tyree is here. I also see she's got Cameron Hornsby with her, so Nicholas County's in the house. So at this time, Kathy, you can come to the podium. Your request is for $5,000, and it's for, is it Huddle live streaming?
Huddle live streaming.
Huddle live streaming.
Yep.
So welcome, Kathy.
Great, thank you. So I'm Kathy Tyree. I'm the athletic director at Nicholas County High School. This is Cameron Hornsby. He is our head girls basketball coach. And we are coming before the council to ask for some money to help us fund a live streaming thing called Huddle, which I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, so I'll just tell you a little bit about it. Huddle is a service that you can do it one of two ways. We've chosen to do it free to the public. So you can download an app on your phone, you can download an app on your smartphone or on your smart TV, and find Nicholas County High School on it and watch any games. We tinkered with it a little bit in the fall, or I'm sorry, in the winter, and we had our girls basketball and boys basketball games live streamed throughout this season. The other option that you can do for Huddle is to charge people for Huddle. And that means every time you watch a game, you can buy a monthly subscription or whatever. We, as an athletic department, have chosen to try to provide that to our community as a free service. Which, in doing that, then we're going to have to come up with some of the money. And just starting it in the middle of the year, that's where the $5,000 request comes in. Because we haven't been able to do the advertising packages and things like that. That's our plan moving forward. So this $5,000 is just kind of keep us going right now where we are. Why would we use Huddle? A couple different reasons. Many of you know my father-in-law, Leonard. He is a huge Grizzly fan, but unfortunately, he's not able to come to any of the games. So we were able to put the app on his TV. It's pretty easy. He knows we've made Nicholas County High School his favorite. He could go watch any of the basketball games. And it makes it real nice for people because it is free. And that just makes it nice for them. They can still feel a part of it. The other thing is it helps with our athletes being recruited. We've been fortunate to have several of our kids go to play collegiately. The mayor knows how it is when your child is being recruited. 10, 12 years ago, we were in that situation. You went, you made those videos, you had to make DVDs, you sent them to people. It was a long process. This helps streamline that. Coaches have access to this too. So if a collegiate coach is interested in one of our students, they can just go into Huddle. The kids can make highlight reels and things. It's just real easy. And so I think that'll bring some good recruitment for our kids. They give our kids some more opportunities as well. The stats are available, and Coach Hornsby knows that the package that we have, the stats are sent out by early morning, and so he can analyze everything. In his particular case, a shot chart, where we're making our most shots. It'll break down every stat you can imagine. And hopefully that's going to translate into better coaching, more winning seasons, more time for our kids to be recruited. So that's kind of how Huddle works. And that's what we want to present to the community of Summersville, an opportunity for people who may not be able to come to watch the games. They could have that live stream there. Our end goal, when we get everything up and running, is to have student-produced broadcasters on the games, and they would be calling the games themselves. And then, because right now what we have is just the video itself. So we're going to work towards that. And again, just starting, these are some of the things we're looking for. Okay? So that's kind of what we're asking for.
That's good.
Okay, questions, council?
What do you anticipate the cost of doing this for a year?
The cost for Huddle per year is $13,000. And the way that we plan to pay for it is through advertising. And we've had some really successful campaigns as far as advertising. We have signs at the baseball field. We've sold 47 banners there. Those will translate over to the stadium. So we're going to kind of go to businesses throughout the community and ask, because on Huddle you can have one of two things. You can have your business card that flashes up in the corner, or you can have your business streaming along. So there's two different ways, and then your business would still be, out there in front. Everybody would see who was supporting the kids.
Good.
Is that for the whole season? I mean, 13?
Whenever, it's $13,000 per year. So we did basketball, softball and baseball, and Huddle itself is kind of on a trial basis. They're trying to work out some things, so we haven't really got into that. This summer, they'll put up a Huddle camera at the stadium. So we'll have football and soccer at the stadium and volleyball in the gym. And all those games will be live streamed.
So they'll all be 13.
Yeah, $13,000 will give us streaming for all of our sports. In the end, we'll be able to stream everything, except cross country, I guess. I'm not sure how we would do that.
Yeah. Hey, Kathy, so for clarity, we actually talked about this before. So the banners that are in the gym and at the baseball field and the football field, if they are at the football field,
They will be.
okay. So is all of that money now go towards this, or because I know that individual sports work to get the banners in their presence.
So when we do our package deal, that's what we're going to discuss as a team, as the coaches of the teams to see, because it is a great fundraiser for those individual teams to do those things. So that is going to be part of the package thing. You will have the opportunity to do just the live stream business card or scrolling, but you would also have the opportunity to place your banner. If you're doing the live stream scrolling, the people out in the that aren't at the games are gonna see your support. If you decide you wanna do a banner, the people at the games, you could do both. You know, so we're gonna set the package up for people to do how they want, because we don't wanna take the fundraising away from the teams.
Okay.
And then-
And then the only other question I have is, so does the program generate its own statistics? Like, so this, so it watches the game and gives all the statistics by the players and, wow. So nobody has to manually do that?
No, that's one of the things that the coaches jumped on board with real quick, because if any of you have coached and had to provide statistics, that's very time consuming.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's why like baseball and softball, they haven't quite figured out that part of it. So we can live stream, but it doesn't have the statistics part in it yet.
Oh, okay.
But that and wrestling are on a trial basis. They're trying to work those two things out, or three things out.
Okay, good deal.
Once you're hopeful to go live, when are you hoping to get it up and going?
Um,
You said mid-season, mid-year, I mean.
Well, we did basketball live. We'll do football and everything will be live, but as far as the student broadcast part of it, or just the
I'm saying
live
with the
streaming.
huddle, I mean.
Mhm. It's going to be live now.
Okay.
Not for the spring sports, but in the fall it will be live.
Okay, cool.
We did it winter, spring not so much because of just the way huddle's set up. But in the fall, everything will be live. All gym and stadium sports will be live.
What other schools in our area are participating in this?
Use huddle.
Do you know?
I do know some schools, there are some, my kids live in Huntington, so I'm aware those, Huntington and Cabell Midland use those. But in conferences, Lewis County is a school similar to us, they use it. Actually, you can go on the Huddle site and you can scroll down across, and there's probably several schools, I'm not sure exactly in this area, but there's several schools that use that. And if you want to check it out, you can just download the Huddle app yourself. Look for us. You can scroll down below, see all the schools that are there. You can go back and watch some of the basketball games. It's all still there. So if it's something you want to check out and see how it works, it's still available for you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And probably what I should have said before we started. So we'll hear a round of folks that have submitted grants this meeting. We'll hear the second round on the 22nd, and then council will actually make the decision on our meeting scheduled for May 13th. And then of course funds are July 1st. You know, you'll be they distribute the funds, or City Hall here, Cookie distributes the funds July 1st. Okay, Rita Robinson is not here for New Beginnings, so both of those might be a mix-up. I don't know what it is, and we'll give them the opportunity to come at the next meeting. Nicholas County Community Foundation, Tamara Mullins, $5,000 request, and it's for operating funds for the Nicholas County Community Foundation.
How are you guys today? This is just our some of our information that help you familiarize yourself. I think that you all probably are pretty familiar with our foundation now. I've been coming here for several years. Our project is ongoing. So some of the things that we do, or a lot of the things that we do, are pretty repetitive as far as what we're into. We provide grants and scholarships for the betterment of Nicholas County, for our community, and we're actually expanding a little beyond that now, which is exciting. But something that's different every year is the people that we affect, the people that we are able to help. A new group of kids in an athletic program, a new family that is needing food that has to go to a food pantry for the first time, a person who's been in trouble with drugs and alcohol and has done a rehab program and is coming out of that program and needs assistance to get back on their feet. Things like these are all different facets of what we do at the Nicholas County Community Foundation. We work with multiple different types of programs to help multiple different types of people going through multiple different types of problems. And we want to continue to do that. But we need your support still. Our foundation is still fairly new. We started in 2006 as a hospital foundation, and in 2009 became a full-fledged community foundation. We're still one of the youngest community foundations in the state, but we are making a big impact. Annually, we're up to around $245,000 a year that we're able to put back into the community. And that's pretty big for such a small foundation and for the size of community that we have. And so I think if you would please consider to continue to support us. You've been a great partner all along. You've supported us for many years, and we enjoy that support, and we are very proud to have that partnership with you all, and we would love to continue it. If you could just please consider that. And if you have any questions.
Okay,
This-
Questions?
This is basically used for operating capital.
The operating costs, but that's including our marketing and just some of the things that we, like insurance costs,
Operating.
things, yeah, operating costs. But, yeah, we have to take care of ourselves to keep the doors open.
okay, council, any other questions? Okay, Tamara, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the list is Nicholas County Fair. Michelle Underwood requests $10,000 for the 2024 fair, which is August 24th through the 27th.
July.
Oh, we got it wrong here. We said August. We gotta change that.
It's July. About a month ago, everybody knows me. I'm Michelle Underwood. I am the president of the Nicholas County Fair. I am starting my second year as the president. As many of you will remember, the fair had been canceled and was pretty much done. The community said, no, it's not done. And they came together, all volunteers, and we pulled this fair together last year in about 3 months. I don't, if each of you got a packet, it has our financials in there. We started out and had about $67,000 from the previous board, previous fair members. And our total income that we raised through admissions, donations, bingo, ended up being around $95,000. It cost us $107, so we ended up in the hole about $7,200. But we were able to recoup that where we put everything back into the fair that we make. So we have been out this year. We've raised money because we just don't want to keep asking from everybody, hey, we need money. So we've had fundraisers, we've had gun raffles, we've had bingos. So this is not just, it used to be the fair was a week long. It's not. We're out about, we're volunteering, we're helping other places. So what I'm asking for $10,000 is that I have already signed a contract with our amusement company to keep our prices at $10 for kids, everybody up to 65. Anybody 65 and older will be $8. Depending on our grants, donations, if we can make it at lower, we will, but that is our number that we're headed for, is to keep it so, you know, we're here. There's not a lot of jobs. A lot of the kids here don't ever get to travel out of Nicholas County. But at $10, they can come in. Last year with grant funding, we were able to allow 100 kids in, or people, free. I know the last time we talked about how maybe we can just let kids 15 and under in free and still charge the $10 for the parents. So once we get our grant funding that we've requested from different places, then we'll be able to decide exactly what the price is. But it will not be over $10 for those 65 and under, and those 65 and older will be $8, 2 and under will be free. we have to guarantee before we even let the first person in $35,000 to amusement companies. And nobody really realizes how much those amusement companies are, and that's our biggest cost. We do have some good amusement. We're using a lot of local this year, because this is our 99th year, and we're working hard for our 100th year. I mean, we want it to be a 100th year celebration, not only for the city of Summersville and Nicholas County, but for the whole state. To make it 100 years in a county festival or fair anymore is hard to do because of cost, decision, economic status in the area. So that's why we're asking for the $10,000 to sponsor admission cost into the fair. Any questions?
Okay, council, any questions?
Last year, we had close to 7,800 people come through the door, and that was paying and the free. And that's not with our vendors and entertainers, and so we probably had a good 10,000 people there. I think pretty much everybody was there or heard about it. I think we did a good job. I'm proud to be the president of the fair. Everybody knows how passionate I am for this county fair to continue. And I hope that we can plan on your support.
Okay. So Michelle, just for clarity, the $10,000 goes into your funds to help make the entrance. So is it going to buy down, or does it just go into the funds to hopefully make entrance fees cheaper?
We're going, to make them, if we can get enough money in, like last year, we got a grant, and we use that specifically for that. If we are awarded that, we can say, hey, if we want to do 100 people in for free a night, we can do 200 a night. If we want to do a special night, for last year we had a law enforcement first responder night. If there was 100 of those individuals that were allowed to come, wasn't a big support for that, but people lined up at the gate at, we opened at 4. They lined up at 3 o'clock so that they could get their kids and themselves in for free. Several adults in the community has said to me, hey, it was like the old Tommy Fair where we could bring our kids up there because we didn't have security. We did have safety protocols in place in case of any type of an emergency. So that's,
Okay.
it was, they were lined up clear from the gate there as you go in. Clear, some Saturday evening they were lined up clear to back to the interstate. So, or Route 19. So we had a pretty good turnout, and that's my goal, that we can get so many kids, because prevention, giving them things to do in the community is going to help with our drug problem. The homeless, kids, they have kids too. So we need to just pull together and we're annexed now into the city limits. We had people from Morgantown, North Carolina, South Carolina that saw and their kids, of course, flipped out in the back seats. Said, hey, there's a fair there. So we had a lot of visitors from out of town that visited the county fair too.
Wonderful. Okay, well, you all had a great show last year. I suppose you're expecting a bigger one this year.
That's what we're looking for.
All right, good deal.
Thank you.
Council, any last minute questions? Okay, thanks, Michelle. Okay, the next one would be the Nicholas County Senior Center, Tricia Young, and I believe you're the director. Is that correct, Tricia?
Yes, I am.
Yep. And your request is for $3,499 and is to replace a freezer.
Yes, our freezer is about 20 years old, and the coil, the copper coil, is leaking. And Andre Freeler has been very kind to keep it running for us, but he said it is not feasible to fix it, that it's possibly it could break even more. But he has been keeping it going for us for now.
Okay.
But we do need the freezer because we try to make sure everyone has lunch every day that we're open, and it's a great place for our seniors to come and socialize together. And we're also an emergency center, so that is also, we kind of need that too to make sure everybody can keep their food
Absolutely. So, okay, council, you have any questions? And just to speak to what Tricia said at the end there, first of all, it's important to support our seniors, so that's important too. But the senior center is an emergency shelter for the city of Summersville. As a matter of fact, we almost had to open it up with this last storm because we had a lot of folks that were out of power. So yes, it's important that we have an operating freezer that can maintain, the frozen food.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay, with no questions, thank you, Tricia.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the last presenter tonight will be the Summersville Christmas Store, Mary Ann Taylor. And this is for the annual Christmas store. And Mary Ann, I guess you're the chairman of the Christmas store tonight.
I'm still the chairman.
Okay.
In about 8 or 9 years, but very rewarding. I enjoy it. But many thanks to council, mayor and council for the generous grant last year for the Christmas store. So I'm here this evening to present the grant for this fiscal year's store. The Christmas store was held on Tuesday, December 5th at the Arena and Conference Center. We were able to assist 125 families. We had applications distributed to DHHR, the WIC office, Dr. Chomcho's office, the health department, the Board of Ed, which distributes them to all the schools. And we also had ads in the Chronicle and posted on social media. This year we're going to add another avenue for families, and we are going to have a website where families can electronically submit their applications also. So we have multiple ways that families can find out about it and get their applications in. Volunteers shop for the toys in mid-November, and then the store is set up early December. The kids are allowed to select a gift for each parent valued at up to $15, and then the parents are allowed to select 2 toys valued up to $65 for each child in the family. And then we have volunteers who help the kids and the parents navigate through the store, and then all the gifts are wrapped and ready to take home to put under the tree. The children get to enjoy a visit with Santa and Mrs. Claus. They get candy while they're visiting with them. And then every family gets a food bag that's filled with non-perishable food items. And we try to do like pastas and sauce and mac and cheese and soups and breakfast items that they'll be able to use. This year we also had a table set up, and there were free books for the children, and this was donated by Save the Children. The Christmas store does make an impact on the community. It has been in existence for over 40 years, which speaks volumes of its success. It does bring the community together to work towards a goal, and that goal is to provide Christmas for poverty-level families that may otherwise not have one. The project is successful due to the generous grants, private donations, and the time and effort of over 75 volunteers that range from high school students to senior citizens. And all of these people work really hard, and not only do they help with the store and navigate through the store, but they do also deliver a positive message to all the families that attend the store. So thank you for your past support. This year we are requesting a grant of $5,000. We do have a budget this year of approximately $30,000. Because as you know, everything is going up. We understand that, economic times are very difficult, and congratulations to everyone that presented a grant tonight, because there are so many very worthwhile projects in this community. We do ask for your support, and we do believe that this is a much needed service, and that every child, regardless of income levels, deserves to have a gift to open on Christmas morning. So thank you again for your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, council, any questions?
I think it's outstanding that we can do this in this community.
Well, and I invite all of you, if you have time when we open the store this year, I invite you to come. I promise you. It's very
40 years is
heartwarming.
pretty extraordinary too.
It is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mary Ann.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, that concludes that portion of tonight's agenda. We now have accepted or reviewed all the presentations that were for tonight. And so we'll have the second round at the next city council meeting in 2 weeks. Moving on through the agenda, the next item on the agenda is approval of the electric vehicle charging station lease agreement. And of course, I've charged Mary Ann with this project. So Mary Ann, if you could please come to the podium and speak briefly on the contract that we have before us. And we're looking for approval to move forward.
This contract will be entered between the City of Summersville and Northside Rental Properties for the electric charging station that was obtained through Tennessee Tech. So we're actually in a study with this charging stations to find out how many vehicles will come through the community, how many will be charged. We should hopefully be able to find out where they come from. This station will be located at Northside. We'll have 2 parking spaces, but 1 station. And have 2 parking spaces so there's enough room for a vehicle to park there. It'll approximately take about 45 minutes from what I've read and talked to Professor Chen about to charge this a vehicle. So it's really in a good location because while it's charging, people can go enjoy fast food. They can even go to Tractor Supply or Harbor Freight or any of some of the little shops there during that time frame. But what we need tonight is to have the contract approved so that we can apply for the power. Once we get the power, then we can have it installed. It does have to be installed by a certified electrician, and we do have an electrician who's going to take the course to be certified to install it. Once it's all installed, then, or actually even before we'll start the marketing, we do have to have the marketing approved by Tennessee Tech, make sure that their name is on there, and also ChargePoint is on there. There won't be any credit card readers there, there's no cash, it's all done by app. I don't know if any of you have paid parking meters by an app on your phone, but that's basically what it'll be like. It'll all be paid by app. But this has been a very big learning experience for me to learn all about electric charging stations and to work on this contract. So I'm just asking for approval tonight so we can move forward, and hopefully it would really be great if we could get the station installed before the height of the season, because that's where I think you're going to get a lot of data to see if people reroute to come through. So people with electric vehicles will reroute to come through Summersville.
Okay, thank you, Mary Ann. A couple things I'd like to add to it is site selection had a lot to do with the power company. I want to thank BJ and First Energy, Mon Power, First Energy, for their partnership on helping us identify a location that was cost effective and that we could use, and three-phase power had a lot to do with it. At one point in time we looked at bringing it to the other side of the highway, and we kind of decided to stay where we are staying, number one, because of three-phase power that was available and making the installment a lot cheaper and more cost effective, which quite frankly, in our partnership with the power company, they are going to assume the majority of the cost for installation based on the anticipated usage and power that will be generated through the charging station. So they're a partner. Mary Ann mentioned a local electrician. Basically, Ben Simpkin has agreed to go out and take the course that's mandated to be certified, as Mary Ann mentioned, but also it's going to take him about a full day to go online and take this course so that he can do the install. We are in receipt of the equipment. We've had it for some time. So after the approval of this lease, Mary Ann can then charge forward with the balance of the install, which we have. Everything is already here in Summersville, and so we'll, as soon as Ben is certified, which he is currently working on, we'll move immediately forward with getting the electric charge station installed. So if you look at, when you come around the corner, if you look at the Ferguson office complex, clear to the left on the front, those first two slots all the way to the left, as you go down Northside Drive will be, and they'll have signage and everything, one slot to charge and one slot for a car waiting. So one charging car, one slot for a reserve car waiting to be charged. So again, this has been a great program. Mary Ann's done a wonderful job working with Tennessee Tech. And they actually reached out to us in their site selection as a community to participate in the program, so we're grateful for that. So what I'd like to do is get a motion for approval of the electrical vehicle charging station placement agreement, and then we'll open it up for council questions.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Council, do you have any questions or comments?
I have just one question, just to make sure that I'm clear. It just has one, I guess, dongle to charge, doesn't have two on the one charging?
One.
One.
But the one thing that we learned, just to go a little bit farther, is this charging station will actually charge all electrical vehicles. We do have here at City Hall already a submittal to upgrade, correct me if I'm wrong, to upgrade, do a total remodel at Sheets.
Yes.
And that remodel is at 10?
Yeah.
That remodel comes with 10 charging stations. But Sheets has worked a national deal with Tesla, and so at Sheets you will only be able to charge a Tesla. All other electric vehicles won't charge at Sheets. And by the way, that's all Sheets, not just our Sheets. Yeah, they have a deal with Musk. And their deal is that their charging stations only will charge, correct Gary?
Yes, that
Will
is.
only charge Teslas. Yeah. So this one will charge all. So Stevie, the vehicles you sell can charge at this charging station.
Oh, that's not what I meant.
You want to have one that?
No, and actually they have one too. They've had one for some
Ours
time.
does both. Okay,
Yeah.
So it will do.
And that's what this one
Other-
does. Yeah, this
the
one
other
will do the
vehicles,
same,
but
yeah.
it has
So-
two different.
Okay. Yeah, any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a approval of the amendment to the forgivable loan and promissory note. Council, this was actually on the agenda for the last meeting, but unfortunately we didn't have the documents for you to review and approve. Chuck, you had reached out to me in advance and asked some questions about additional insured and hold harmless agreements. I did get in contact with Greg, and this is a security interest agreement where we probably wouldn't be able to obtain those, but also we have no interest. Ours is just like what a bank would do when they loan monies for your home or equipment. They only have to worry, just like on a homeowner's, we make a bank a mortgagee, not an additional insured. And so Greg said this is a security interest agreement, and there is a lien holder only. It's a special filing and form that's already been filed with the courthouse on our interest for the property. Does that answer your questions, Chuck? No?
No.
Okay, so what I would ask you to do is contact Greg tomorrow and tell him what your concerns are, because he's indicated to... Okay, yeah, he's indicated to me that this is a security interest and that he says we have absolutely no liability in the operation or malfunctioning of the equipment. We just help provide financing. So with that said, I'll entertain a motion. And council, what this does, the only thing that this really does is it redefines the description of collateral, which actually the items that we have listed actually come to a total above what we've loaned on this, both us and the county, because this agreement is just duplicated and done at the county as well. It's the same agreement at the county. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve. Second.
We got a first and a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. The next item is okay, the next item is, council, I'm requesting a change to the employment guidelines representing nepotism. And what I will tell you is that our hiring procedures address aunts, uncles, cousins, and step relatives. You can see that the West Virginia Code and the Ethics Commission do not go as deep as ours, our definition. So the definition in yellow is ours, the definition in blue is state code. I did ask, because I was concerned, I did ask Greg to reach out to the Ethics Commission to get an opinion about my concern. And I will tell you that my concern was that I believe I have a concern of nepotism when you might have a situation where you have an uncle and a nephew or an aunt and a niece working in the same, in the same environment where one's supervising the other. According to state statute and the Ethics Commission, because Greg did reach out to the Ethics Commission, and they pretty much stressed the state code and told him that my concern was valid, but it's not a part of the state code. But I will tell you, as this city's mayor, I have a problem with a situation that would present itself where we would have an aunt, we would hire going forward an aunt to supervise a niece or an uncle to supervise a nephew, or vice versa, niece, nephew, whatever. To me, that's a problem. And so I will not change my hiring practices and will not allow that to happen, although it's permissible by state code and West Virginia ethics. The ethics did come back and say, although they probably agree with me, there might be exceptions to the rule, and even I would potentially visit an exception to the rule. But in most cases, I just don't. I don't buy it. I just think it still could present a problem, one covering for the other in a supervisory mistake or something. So anyway, so what I ask you to do is amend our language we will implement in our personnel manual the language from West Virginia State Code, which mirrors the state ethics. Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Got a first and a second. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. The next item for approval is I would like to amend the vacation accrual for employees, and quite frankly, I wish I would have done this some time ago, maybe many years ago. So what I am asking is for this change to be effective January 1st, and we'll back up to those employees, which is not a lot, but a few, and make this effective January 1st. Currently, if you work for the city of Summersville, from a new employee to 2 years, you accrue 4 hours of vacation. And then, of course, after you go over 2 years to 5 years, you get 6 hours a month vacation. What I would like to do is eliminate the 0 to 2 and make, as it references down at the bottom, basically a 0 years of, or new employee all the way to 5 years will receive 6 hours a month vacation. And again, when you look at 4 hours, it's just not, you add those numbers up, it's just not competitive in the workforce for people that offer vacation. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a first
Second.
and a second. Any questions, council? Okay, so it'll be effective January 1st. 0 to 5 years, you receive 6 hours vacation monthly. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. Okay, let's see. Before we go to the recorder's report, Bert, I see you came in. Did you come in for a
Grant,
okay, which one was it?
Love Works.
Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll back up and catch you because you're here.
Thought it was gonna be 7 o'clock.
Oh, no, our meetings are at 6 now. That's okay, no problem. Not a problem at all. That might have been what happened to Rita as well. Yeah.
Was Streets here for senior center?
Yes, she did. Yeah, she was here. Yeah. Bert, that's the first mistake you've made all year.
Really? You don't know me. I'm Bert Gross, I'm the treasurer of Love Works. It's an outreach program at Wayne's Church, Memorial United Methodist here in Summersville. I'm the treasurer of it. And last year, they gave out daily needs to 991 families. And we purchased like $17,500. And that's personal hygiene, and then like bleach, laundry detergent, those type of items. So then they also gave $50 for different ones for utility bills when they got notices that they were going to be shut off. So then already this year, the number of families they've given out for 3 months into March is 283, and at that time last year it was 221. Of course, you all know the economic conditions that the country is in. And we get funding, of course, from the city, and we have a couple other grants, but also churches and individuals. So I'm sure anytime on a Tuesday or a Thursday, if you would like to come volunteer to help see how it runs, we'd be pleased to have you. So we appreciate any consideration you give us for the grant. And I'm sorry, I'm late.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So what I didn't say at the beginning is Love Works and Bert just presented exactly what the money would be spent for, but your request was $5,000.
Right.
Okay.
And it's all voluntary labor. There's no cost. The only cost is the telephone.
Okay, good deal. Okay, any questions, council?
I think you do a lot with a little.
Well, we could use more.
Good deal. Okay, Bert, thank you, sir.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
I'll try to be on time now. Thank you.
All right, good deal. Okay, moving right along. Recorder's report.
Okay. New business, March. Got some copies of it for you. Increased this March, up by about 4 businesses, so I was glad to see that, and there's some good ones on there. Benji Japanese Steakhouse, Almost Heaven Pepperoni Rolls. Alcon LLC is from outside. You have Board Tobacco and Vape, which I have some updates on that. Charleston Area Medical Center, nice to see them in. Applied Integrated Services, Flexco Contracting, Endicott Tree Services, J&S Blackwoods Barbecue, and ECI. So always glad to see that many new businesses come to town, and it's good to see that. We mentioned a vape right there. I want to talk about that for a second. I know the mayor had on his agenda a while back. We had a guest speaker, and they had suggested a new ordinance. There was some concern because of what they were doing down in Charleston at the time. We were afraid to make any decisions on that vape ordinance. It was a really good vape ordinance. I had shown it to Greg, and he did not see any problems with that, but suggested waiting to see what happened in Charleston. I will tell you, they did pass a new vape ordinance at the state level, which I showed it. It came from Delegate Tolley, And she sent that to me. I sent that to Greg and talked to Greg about that. He's perfectly okay with that and suggested that we didn't do anything on the local level, that we basically just, adopt, and basically we don't even have to adopt, but just go by what the state ordinance is. on that.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure I got back to you on that. I do have a copy of that. If anybody would like to see that, I'll be glad to send it out. And it came to me kind of late, so what I will do is just bring it to the next meeting and get it out, just for your eyes to see. It's 9 pages long. So yeah, it addressed many of the same concerns that our guest speaker had that night. So there was a lot of discussion on it on the floor, is my understanding, and it passed fairly unanimously. So I was pretty pleased with that. Little update with planning and zoning that I want to just give you. On the next council meeting, I will be presenting the next planning and zoning meeting. We've had a lot of discussions about some things, and I want to just let this council know the 3 main things here as of late has been M1, M2 in the ordinances that we currently have. If you're not aware of that, don't be ashamed, because a lot of people weren't. Even the planning and zoning, it's kind of tucked into an ordinance. I just give you the 1,000-foot level of it, but basically there are a couple of areas in our city limits, predominantly over near Old Main, that this M1, M2 addresses. And what it addresses is mobile homes being able to be put into those areas. The planning and zoning at this time are looking at eliminating that out of our ordinances. That would prohibit from happening in the future. However, it would grandfather folks that are already there. So that's an ordinance that we'll be addressing at the next meeting. And these things that I'm telling you about tonight is all basically over at our city attorney's office right now, being addressed and making sure it's addressed properly. So when we approach our next planning and zoning meeting, it'll all be laid out for them. These things that we're doing is all from the planning and zoning. These are ideas that they had. So what went to Greg was basically from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So real pleased with that. Citations for code officials, we do not have those currently, okay? That's a real important piece that we need to address. I sent over to Greg what I think is a really good ordinance. He's not picked it apart too much yet. He's wanting to make sure, is this as aggressive as we want to be, or do you want to be a little bit more aggressive with it? So that'll be some of the discussion with the planning and zoning. However, I do have an ordinance that is ready to be presented to planning and zoning. Again, planning and zoning will have their hands on this before it comes over to you, and then you guys will have obviously the final say on that. Another one, and finally, minimum square footage on homes. I finally took out the tiny home vocabulary out of my head, and I'm starting to address it more as minimum square footage of homes. But this ordinance is addressing basically tiny homes in our area. So those will be the hot topics on the next planning and zoning meeting, and we've been talking about it for a while. Hopefully at this next meeting, and I don't want to set the meeting until we're certainly positive of what those ordinances are going to say with Greg. So hopefully I will have that at the next council meeting. I'll have you a planning and zoning meeting. If anybody has any other questions about any of those, feel free to give me a call, reach out to me, and I'll discuss it with you. I'm certain some people may have a few questions after they see the Summersville CTV this evening. So if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Obviously the ordinances, you can get a hold of Gary, but any questions about his report? Okay, moving right along, Mayor's report. Council, first thing I want to let you know is that we, in partners with Region 4 Planning and Development and our engineer, Thrasher Engineering, the deadline for Mansion's earmark is tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. And I'm to report tonight that we have submitted 3 grant requests to Senator Manchin, of which will be submitted to Senator Capito, she has not opened up her doors yet for the applications, nor has Congresswoman Miller. As soon as they do, we'll submit to all of them the same applications, because the way they work sometimes is they partner when they give their funds. So first, we submitted an application for the Summersville Recreational Outdoor Complex. The application that we submitted is for Phase 2, which is the soccer complex. And we anticipate the soccer complex is going to be about a $6 million bill. And we're asking for about $2.3 million is our request. And I'll explain a little bit farther what we anticipate those funds are going to take care of on the soccer complex, because I'm actually going to give you another update on funding for the complex itself. So that was an application submitted. It's for Phase 2. Council, I also tell you that these are funds that will be, if they're authorized and appropriated in this year, they're technically funding that will be available to us in 2026, just by the way the whole process works. The funds that we have now, we just got word on some of our previous grants that we were awarded. For example, Manchin gave us $1.8 million for the Visitor Center, and technically, as we see it, getting through the process, the environmental, everything you do, we'll see those funds in 2025. The next thing that we applied for, congressional funding, is for our water project. And of course, this is a grant that we pretty much let Thrasher handle from the inception. And this is a grant for another $2 million to upgrade our water system. And the whole purpose of is being able to get more water to the bulk meter, so therefore we can supply our bulk. Now, so it certainly helps our Summersville situation in distribution of water, but more so it helps our bulk water situation, and we could be the backup supply to Gauley River PSD, which feeds water to the prison. And we've been in some recent crises modes with that situation. As a matter of fact, our guys work overtime. We pretty much had to keep people at the plant 24/7 to pump water to Gauley River because they had some water loss things that they were having trouble identifying. And quite frankly, so this will resolve that, because therefore we can push more water down and won't have to operate like we do because of the volume that we have to shake around town so that we can give them what they need, especially when their demand's high. And then we also are submitting a request. We've submitted a request for $11 million. Certainly do not anticipate getting $11 million. And we're back at it again, trying to get funding, some funding, even if it's minimal funding, for our low flow units at the hydro plant. So anyway, these are the earmarks that were submitted to Senator Manchin in his congressional spending, and we'll do the same with both Capito and Congresswoman Miller when they open the doors. So the next thing, Council, I'd like to do is give you an update on the Summersville Hydro eval. Actually, just for anybody that's interested, the next meeting is tomorrow at 2 p.m. I can tell you right now that the draft report has been completed, and it's now going before the direct quality control team, which it'll be there. It has to be there by April 22nd. So as they finish up the draft report, they're going to get it to the quality control team for certification. It has to be there no later than April 22nd. And then it goes on from there to the agency technical review, with the whole idea that it'll be ready for approval by 4 August, so that project will be completed by 13 September. So everything's on track. And I will tell you that if you remember, the anticipated budget, the monies that we sent the federal government, was initially $679,500 for them to start this. Their planned value at this point in time, to date, they've spent $177,271 of those funds, and they're anticipating that they're going to be able to close the door on this thing. Right now, plan value is $271,800. So as you can see, we'll be getting some funds back. You know, I really appreciate the team that we've been working with the Army Corps of Engineers, because, you know, Chris Stoltz and his team, Gabe, they've been fantastic to work with, and obviously you can see it was you know, they worked in a very professional way, and at the end of the day, we're going to get what we paid for, plus it's not going to cost us $679,000. The next thing I'd like to do is let you know that we ran into a snag on the gym floor. We actually, unfortunately, pretty much what I call the last minute, we were notified by J.M. Huffman that they came in and drilled a sample in the floor, and just by looking at it, thought there might be asbestos in it, so then we had to go get an asbestos test, of which we did. We expedited that, paid $1,200 for that, and lo and behold, in the tar that was used to seal the floor, there's a possibility that there might be 2% asbestos in that. So unfortunately, what that meant is nobody could remove the floor but somebody that can abate asbestos. So we immediately put a bid out. The bid opening was this morning at 9 o'clock. We only had one contractor that bid the job. And of course, you know, pretty much because of the schedule we're on with R.M. Huffman, decommissioning the gym so that we could do the floor, the whole schedule, all those requirements were pretty much in the bid. Only one company could do that. And unfortunately, I think we're paying a little bit because of them shuffling things and expediting this in a way. So the bid was open this morning. It's $95,800 for the demolition, removal of the floor. Right now, we dotted our I's and crossed our T's with R.M. Huffman, the company that's putting the floor in. Got real concerned because with the removal, because of the asbestos, if somebody couldn't get in and do it right away, then they have other floors scheduled at the end of May. When they had it scheduled, they were saying they may not be able to come. So they have assured me that if this company that we just awarded this morning, because you all approved it at the last meeting, so I signed the contract and awarded this morning, now they have to they'll do some legal publication, because anytime you remove asbestos, you have to let the community know what's being removed and where it's being removed. So they're going to do all of that, and they will be ready to start work on removal on April 22nd. So this morning, this contractor authorized us to allow the gym to be utilized by the middle school. We let them know that this morning. They can use it up to April 19th. The only thing of it is the contractor is going to immediately start moving in dumpsters and equipment, staging equipment, so that they can get right on at the 22nd. All of their legal notifications and the timelines that they operate under will be done by the 22nd. And so they will start the 22nd removing the floor, because they have to have the gym turned over to the flooring company no later than May 10th for us to stay on schedule. So what I pray for right now is when they go remove the floor, there's no more snags on what's underneath that floor from a standpoint of leveling and all that. So we'll just have to wait and see. But we are well on our way to hopefully replacing the gym floor, which is a project that's been needed for some time. I will tell you what the difference is, because the R.F. Huffman contract did back out their demolition of the previous floor, $27,132 that was in their contract. And so the difference is it's costing us an additional $68,669 to get the floor replaced. So right now, in a positive way, everything's on track, so we just hope for the best when they do the demo. The next thing I'd like to tell you, Council, is we have received our West Virginia Corp insurance renewal, and quite frankly, I'm real pleased. We're looking at a 4% increase from last year's rate. Our new rate this year for our total insurance package, liability and property, came in at $112,728, which represents a 4% increase over last year, which I'm well pleased. The only thing that we don't have yet, which is real typical and standard for the industry, we do not have our workers' comp renewal, but in a real positive way, unbelievable way, our EMOD dropped again to 0.73. And for an operation the size of the city and the differences, you know, the things that we have coming and going, that is an incredible EMOD, which is your experience rating that you get. You could even speak to that, Chuck, 0.73.
Yeah, anything less than 1 is great.
Yeah.
So 0.73 is really good.
So, okay, the last thing I'd like to just give you an update on, council, is we had a meeting last week with a bond attorney, and we're starting in a diligent way, aggressive way, to move forward for some funding for the park. So we had our first call with our bond attorney, John Stump, and as it is, there's a lot of information. You know, he's been given his orders now of engagement, and there's a lot of information that he's going after to bring back information. And then this morning I met with a commercial lender because at what point in time when we present something to you all for approval, we're going to have all our options reviewed. I will tell you that what we're looking at initially for sure is borrowing $5 million for what we're going to call phase 1. In discussion and review of the city's finances, we'll probably have the capacity to borrow up to $8 million, of which we very well may do. We just got to bring all the pieces together. What $8 million would do is it would allow us to completely build the entrance, and we're talking exactly what we wanted to build. Top shelf presentation getting into the park, and the $5 million gets the entrance put in and gets all the infrastructure to the head of the trail, including parking lot and restroom for the trail. And then along the way, it puts in the roads, the drainage, and some of the other infrastructure, power and utilities. And then if we can get the $8 million, the $3 million would then go to phase 2, which the $3 million would get us the core of the foundation for the soccer complex. What I right now anticipate using the earmark monies, if we get it, would be for the polishing of phase 2, which would mean the turf, the lighting, and a lot of the ancillary, you know, stuff that would support a first-class soccer complex. You know, we'll bring all the options to you. The decisions will be made here. You know, meeting with the commercial lender today, they were psyched and said, man, if you go that route, we'll have you money before the end of the year because of the financial position of the city of Summersville. The options that John's going, I think we're certainly going to have to explore. To some extent may be cheaper, but when you borrow money for the government, it's very lengthy. And so John was quite frank with me and told me if we go that route to borrow money through the USDA, which we can, they've got a big pot of money and we would look very attractive to their lending. He said from the time we start, it would be 1 year before we had funding. So we just have to weigh our options. Now, if waiting for that funding is significantly cheaper to go than conventional funding, one of the things that I did review with the commercial lender today, and again, we haven't picked a commercial lender because it'll go out for bid, okay? But one of the things that I did ask the commercial lender that concerns me on their behalf, and they're going to go back and review to see how lenient they can be, is usually with a commercial lender. First of all, if you go with a federal government loan, you can get a 40-year amortization. If you go with commercial lenders, today I beg them for 30. The best they're probably going to be able to do is 25, and that's pretty much across the board. Obviously, if we can stretch it out, we can get a smaller payment up front, and then there's a lot of things that are going to happen to come, especially in 2027 when hydro revenue goes from 20% gross revenue to 60% gross revenue. Technically, if you look at the pattern and history of the city, that's going to bump our budget $2 million. What we don't want to be is locked into an interest rate that we can't pay down and we can't get out of, and we can't refinance if things really would drastically change in this country and rates would go back down. So all of those things we got to consider and examine, and that'll all be done right here once we get it all put together. But I am excited because right now, regardless of the funding, I am planning to do the groundbreaking in the month of August. So we'll do the groundbreaking, and then hopefully by then we'll know where the funding is going to come from down the road. Okay, that concludes the mayor's report. Anybody have any questions? Okay, just highlight too that spring cleanup's taking place. Wards 1 and 2 are this week, Wards 3 and 4 next week. Always encourage the citizens, if for some reason you missed 1 week, we're flexible, we'll pick up the next week, and then we always keep everything in place so that we can do an extra week in case somebody misses both weeks. We always are very favorable. I will tell you, we had a call this morning already. I'll just tell you who it was. Dr. Prendergrass called in and said, man, what a great program y'all do. You know, he had to pick up this morning and said that the program is wonderful. The crew that came to pick the stuff up was wonderful. So, you know, as we continue to move forward to do everything we can to help beautify our city, it is a great program, and we're just thankful that the citizens participate in it. I will tell you that we diverted the street department a little bit to help with cleanup at the park. I did get a call back from Sally today that told me our crews were wonderful that we sent out there. And we did that in the spirit of trying to keep the Little League on track for their opening, which comes this weekend. So that's an exciting day for Little League and all the kids. The last thing we wanted to do is let a storm take their opening day away from them. So we did send a crew out to the park to help with the cleanup out there today as well. So that concludes my report. Any council reports? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Got a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. Thank you, council.